German Economy Minister Robert Habeck is in Israel today. Amid a looming energy crisis, Habeck is expected to discuss potential ways to route Israeli natural gas to Europe. Israel has around 900 billion cubic meters of proven gas reserves. It currently exports gas to Jordan and Egypt, which has its own LNG ports to ship the gas, for example, to Europe. But so far, only in small quantities. Now, Israel is looking into ways to export its natural gas directly to the continent. The East Mediterranean pipeline could connect gas reserves in the Levantine Basin to Greece in mainland Europe via Cyprus and Crete. The East Med pipeline can carry 9 to 12 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually. That's around 10% of Europe's supply. But the project is still in the planning stages for now and may take years before it can be operational. And it's just one project among others currently in exploration. Gina Cohen joins us now. She is an expert on the Eastern Mediterranean natural gas market. Gina, thank you for joining us. Now, will this project and others like it, will they be ready in time? Will they be operational in time to help Europe's very current gas crisis?
Well, it depends exactly when we start constructing them. There are 4 potential projects. As you said, the East Med pipeline, which would go all the way from Israel via Cyprus into Italy. And there's another shorter pipeline, which is potentially can be done to go from Israel to Turkey. And then there are 2 liquefaction projects, either using the Egyptian facilities or doing a floating liquefaction facility in Israel. Each one of these projects has a different timeline. Potentially, the East Med pipeline project to Italy will be the longest lead item, take the longest to do. But all of them could be completed by 2027. Which is the deadline by which Europe and the EU especially is hoping to reduce its gas imports from Russia.
Now, that's quite a way away, but what has to happen in order to realize these projects?
Well, on the Israeli side, what is necessary is to finish the feasibility studies of all of them. The second thing on the Israeli side is the government here has to take certain regulatory announcements and decisions, for instance, on deciding on where the facilities would be located. And on the European side, what is important is for the Europeans to decide strongly that they are willing to buy long-term gas supplies from a different source and sign up to such contracts. And not just rest on their laurels on talking on what they're doing now and hoping that renewables will be the answer of all their problems.
What sort of geopolitical challenges do you see arising from these efforts to bring gas from Israel to from the region even to Europe?
Well, the least challenging one geopolitically is to build a independent floating LNG facility in Israel. But doing a pipeline to Turkey has geopolitical hurdles in that it will be complicated at this time for Israel to invest billions of dollars and to put all its eggs in the basket of bringing gas to Turkey, because Israel and Turkey have had very difficult relations over the last decade. So from Israel's point of view, this will be complicated. The East Med pipeline to Europe would be fine geopolitically from Israel, but this is one where Turkey would object, because Turkey is reneging on Cyprus's own economic zones and stating that certain areas belongs to Turkey, and therefore Turkey would object. So these 2 pipeline projects have Turkey as a geopolitical complicated element in them.
Thank you very much. Gina Cohen is an expert on the Eastern Mediterranean natural gas market. Thanks for your insights today.
You're welcome.
Now, the need to diversify away from Russian energy sources is coming alongside measures to keep Moscow from using its oil money to finance its war in Ukraine. But some economists say the EU's much-touted oil embargo does not go far enough. Sergei Guryev joins us now from Paris. Welcome, Sergei. Now, you said the embargo does more to help Moscow, at least for now. Can you elaborate?
Thank you very much, Janelle. Yes, embargo is a game changer, and embargo, which has been announced by the European Commission, by the European Council first, last week, is going to kick in half a year from now, which means before that time, oil prices will go up in the expectation that there'll be less oil on the market. And that means in the next few months, Putin will actually get more money rather than less money because the oil will keep flowing while the prices will be higher. And in that sense, embargo is great, but it will work only half a year from now. Before that, embargo is bringing more rather than less cash into Putin's coffers, allowing him to pay for soldiers, hire new soldiers. And in that sense, more needs to be done before the embargo kicks in.
Right. But would prices spiking in the short term really aid Moscow so much? By most indications, the war is on its way to costing Putin more than he can afford.
That's correct. We will see soon the data for May. Data for April suggests that he's running a, so far manageable, but he's running a budget deficit. And in that sense, yes, every additional euro, every additional dollar per barrel comes into his coffers, which allows him to pay his soldiers. Now, one important issue here is that he doesn't announce mass mobilization, right? A month ago, a lot of people would say Putin will introduce martial law, declare a war, introduce mass mobilization. He didn't do that because that would be unpopular. Instead, he hires soldiers. He recruits soldiers. He pays them an order of magnitude more than average wage, so people can die for him in Ukraine. Most soldiers come from poorer parts of Russia. And in that sense, even a modest salary can actually attract many soldiers. Even with that, he's running short. Recently, he signed a law that allows him to remove the age limit for recruiting soldiers. So he needs soldiers and he needs dollars to pay the soldiers. And in that sense, of course, higher oil prices support Putin's war in Ukraine.
Now, as you say, all those things have to be financed, but which measures do you think should accompany the oil embargo?
Well, in my op-ed in Project Syndicate, I talk about two measures that's been discussed by economists in recent months, oil tax and price cap. Both would reduce oil revenues Putin is getting from exporting oil. Oil tariff or oil tax is where for each euro that European consumers pay, part of that amount goes to a special escrow account and sits there later to pay for reparations Russia will have to pay to Ukraine. Price cap is something that Mario Draghi has argued for, and now European Council is asked the European Commission to look into. Price cap, for example, for Russian gas means that European buyers would agree to pay a limited amount for Russian gas and not more. And furthermore, introduce secondary sanctions against third-party buyers who would love to pay more for Russian oil or gas. And so this is another measure. Both of these measures would allow for oil and gas from Russia to keep flowing, but would reduce drastically the amount of money Putin gets from exporting oil and gas.
Economist Sergei Guryev, thank you very much.
Thank you.